Hello and welcome to another interlude video for In Between and Neither. This time we're looking at the 2010 version of chapter 4. So just catching up on so far, we have three chapters, 2010 version and 2011 version. 2010 version chapter 3, read that in a previous video, and well, this is the fourth chapter with just one more chapter to follow, which will be in an upcoming video. Yeah, not too much to say about it right now. At the end I will talk a little bit about my thoughts on this chapter and the reasons why I rewrote it. But 2011 version of chapter 4, I will of course talk in more detail about all the differences and why all the changes. So look forward to that video. And for now, let's get started with reading through chapter 4, 2010 version of In Between and Neither. In Between and Neither, chapter 4. Let there be no doubt that spending any amount of time in a hospital is a boring thing. Never mind spending 2 weeks there. The doctors wanted to be absolutely certain that my aorta wasn't going to start bleeding again, and I cannot blame them. Just remembering how having merely a tiny nick in it caused me to pass out after running only short distance is enough to keep me from questioning the need to stay under observation for so long, with the occasional MRI scan combined with the radioactive fluid which they inject into the veins to make them visible. I'm pretty sure that I'm intimately familiar with every vein and artery in at least that part of my torso by now. My savior during these weeks is Catherine, who visits me nearly every day and brings me books to read. We talk a lot whenever she's here, first about the attack, then gradually moving on to broader topics. I really enjoy these moments, with Catherine sitting on a chair next to my bed, with usually bright sunlight filling the room together with an almost complete lack of sound. The usual hospital sounds can be heard far away, outside an occasional car can be heard, and of course there is the eternal noise of monitoring equipment. I don't even notice the sound which it makes anymore, unless I consciously focus on it. During one of these times I'm sitting propped up with pillows in my back, listening to Catherine's gentle voice while sipping from my drink. Cold orange juice, yummy. It's like vacation time in the hospital. I suddenly realized that I just missed a question. Looking at Catherine, I asked her to repeat it. Do you think that if everyone knew about you being different, that it might improve things for you? That it might keep things like those last few times from happening? Catherine asked, carefully phrasing a question. I lower my drink, absent-mindedly rubbing a finger along the condensed-covered glass while I considered the question. To be honest, I had thought about it a few times, but it didn't seem like the right thing to do, to proclaim it like that as though I'm looking for attention or so. It doesn't seem like me. When I tell Catherine this, she just looks at me for a moment, then says, "Do you feel happy with the way things are now, though?" At this question, I slowly shake my head. No, I don't think so. Staying silent for a moment, I resume. I would like to feel normal, accepted, like I'm just not a person instead of a freak, I'd say, spitting out the last word like it's something disgusting. I can feel tears burning in the corners of my eyes. Catherine gets up from a chair and, lowering to put herself at my height, puts her hands around mine. You should never have to feel left out like that, Alice. You are a beautiful person who's just as much part of this world as everybody else. Trust me. She smiles at me, while I feel fresh tears choking me up. Shaking my head a bit in a mixture of confusion and defiance, or something like that, I notice how my drink is gently lifted out of my hands, after which Catherine's soft arm embraced me. The next moment, I'm only aware of my own sobbing and the comfort Catherine offers. With little to occupy my days, It isn't long before the 2 weeks have passed that I'm released from the hospital. My mother picks me up to drive me home. We don't talk much. I've never felt that I could talk with a mother about anything in depth. Maybe it's just that she feels as frustrated as me about the inability to get my condition officially recognized and to receive help for it, leading to both of us repeating the same things over and over, without being able to offer the other any kind of comfort. The last incident has left its reminder on my body, with a bigger scar on the left side of my back and a smaller one opposite to it on my tummy. They will probably always remain visible. It is a good thing that I'm not one for tanning, considering my skin type. At least the bruises will vanish completely, with only a few large, yellowing bruises left. When I first arrived at the hospital, I was bruised all over. Once home, I almost immediately go up to my room. Everything here feels so normal and so me. It's the only place in the world where I feel most at home and where I don't have to worry about anything. Everything here is mine, from the desk with my computer to the purple carpet on the floor to my bed with the plushies which occupy every conceivable spot. Most of them are cat plushies, with a few bears, dogs and other animals among them. Feeling overwhelmed by emotions again, I grab my favorite cat plushie and go lie down on my bed while cradling it. As my sobbing rocks my body and tears soak the pillow, all I can think of is Catherine's smile. A few days after my release from the hospital, I returned to school for the first time since the attack. I cannot seem to ignore how similar everything appears compared to that day. Biking towards the school, parking my bike, walking towards the main entrance. It's almost like it being a dream or a very realistic flashback. The lack of fellow students I notice, but considering how late I am, I don't consider it to be strange. I subconsciously expect Bruce to appear out of nowhere and flash me his predatory grin again, even though I know I won't ever be seeing him again, as he's been kicked out of school and is serving a few months in jail for assault and being an accomplice to murder. My gaze is drawn to the spot where I was found during the attack according to the reports. There's nothing to be seen, not even a drop of blood or signs of a struggle. Life goes on and all that. It is the most unreal part of this whole experience, to return to where it all happened and to see every trace of it erased, like it was just a bad dream. Don't want to burden those not directly involved with the gory details. Part of me wonders whether this is really the end of my troubles, whether I will just be returning to living my life the way I used to before Bruce and Melissa and their mob started picking on me. Maybe there will be more of those types, just waiting to hear the rumors and descend on me like starving vultures. Part of me welcomes the thought. I've given Catherine thought about telling everyone a lot of thought since she asked me. And I feel quite ready to just say, to hell with it, and abandon my old, secretive life. Yet then the question becomes, tell who, when, and how? I've made sure to not make any friends, so I would basically be telling my secret to perfect strangers. That definitely won't work. Entering the main building, I notice that my locker has been repaired and cleaned. My old key still works, so I open it. Inside, I find new books and everything else which was destroyed before. I wonder who went through all this trouble to replace these items. My thoughts consider Catherine. She might just have done it. I smile. Taking out the books which I will need for this morning's classes and putting them into my bag which was found after the attack, hidden together with my clothes in the same maintenance shed which I found myself in that day. After I lock my locker and walk towards the main hallway, I notice that it is strangely quiet. I haven't seen a single student yet, or anyone else. Through the glass in the doors leading towards the main hallway, I can see that it is deserted as well. Then I notice a paper pinned to the announcement board. It reads, "All students report to the auditorium." Staring at it for a moment, I try to come up with a reason for such an announcement, Yet cannot think of anything. It must be something pretty big. As I contemplate this, an uneasy feeling settles in my stomach. Before I even open the door, I can tell that most, if not all of the school students and teachers must be inside the auditorium. Warily, I push open the door, intent on slipping in quietly and finding a spot near the back. The moment I step inside, however, I spot a familiar face. It's Catherine, and she has seen me as well. Moving towards her, I ask her what's going on, the moment that I'm within hearing distance. Evading my question, she gently takes my arm. "This way, Alice," she says, smiling. Confused, I follow her lead. Along one of the sides of the auditorium, past row after row of students, with some teachers among them, probably to keep the order. Eventually, we reach the stage in front. Going up some stairs, I find myself in the backstage area, trying to catch my breath. "What's going on, Catherine?" I ask. Again, she just turns towards me and smiles. "Just wait here a moment until I call for you, okay?" I nod meekly, as Catherine turns around and walks towards the stage where the principal is standing already. At a sign from Catherine, he turns towards the audience and asks for everyone's attention. To my amazement, everybody actually quiets down within a few seconds. They must be wondering what this fuss is about as much as I am. "Everyone, thank you for being present," the principal starts. "You were all called here due to a number of recent events at the school involving Alice Kingsley and a number of other students. First of all, what do you know of these events at this point?" A few students raised their hands. "I hear Bruce and his mob were bullying her, but I don't know why," one girl says. "Melissa beat her up for not paying her the respect she felt she deserved," another girl says. "I heard that Bruce and Melissa teamed up on her because he used to be a guy and still has the bits," a guy says, at which one of his friends adds, "I and a few others saw her naked, and it's true." The crowd nearly erupts in agreement. I feel my cheeks burning, with tears burning in my eyes. If at all possible, I would gladly die right here on the spot, from shame and embarrassment. For a moment, I feel angry at Catherine for doing this to me. "Quiet," the principal says, managing once again to silence the crowd. I would like to introduce one of our school's nurses, Miss York." He nods towards Catherine, who walks towards the microphone. "Over a month ago, I first met Alice, when she was admitted to the school's infirmary. Bruce and his mob had stripped her naked, kicked and beaten her until she passed out, then left her lying there on the training field. Back then, I already knew about the medical condition she was born with, and Alice confirmed that Bruce had attacked her because of it. Later on, Melissa, together with Bruce, attacked her again, this time knifing her and nearly causing her death. Again, this was because of this medical condition. What is so terrible, so horrific, that it would make people like Bruce and Melissa fear her? Is not because of a gender change or something more regular. No, this is something so terrible that they were willing to humiliate and even mutilate and kill her because of it." Catherine has been raising her voice while speaking, and when she pauses for a moment, the entire auditorium is totally quiet. More softly, Catherine resumes. "The only thing Alice has done to deserve this isn't even her own fault, as she was born with it. Her only sin is that she is intersex, and doesn't conform to the stereotypical concepts most of us hold about the genders." Silence. Then a hand is meekly raised by a girl near the front. "What is this intersex exactly? What does Alice have?" she asks. Then Catherine turns towards me and asks, "Alice?" Blushing fiercely, I walk onto the stage with legs which feel like they're made out of wood. I have to somehow get through this. Make everyone understand. It's the only way. Looking at the girl who asked the question, I answer, I was born with partial male and female reproductive organs. I wish I could describe in full what my body is like, but the doctors in this country still refuse to help me, so even I don't have those answers. I answered the question, trying to appear as self-assured as possible. At least I'm not stammering or so. So, you're a girl, right? Can you have sex? Another girl asked, clearly not embarrassed by her second question. I think about what to answer for a second. My body is that of a girl, yes. I also think like a girl and would consider myself to be a girl by those standards. As for your second question, I pause for a moment. I can have sex using the male organs at this point, and maybe if it turns out that I do have a vagina using that as well. Great, I'm not even blushing that much. Outwardly calm, I await the next question. I just wanted to say that I think that it's awesome what Alice is doing, a girl a few rows back says. If I had known about her troubles before, I would have been there to protect her, she proclaims, quickly joined by others. Caught by surprise, I find myself smiling. Suddenly, a hand slides into mine. Turning around, I see that Catherine is standing next to me. She gently squeezes my hand, as she smiles at me, then prepares to speak. I hope it's clear that Alice really needs your help and friendship. She has had to fight her way through life all by herself so far, and the things she needs most right now are friends and their support. How about it? She asks. A deafening roar of agreement is the response. The students on the front rows offer to have lunch with me, suddenly invite me to parties and so on. I find myself completely overwhelmed. Before I know it, tears are rolling down my cheeks as I find my throat choked shut for once by a feeling of sheer happiness instead of sorrow. I don't think that I've ever been as grateful to anyone as I am to Catherine right now, as I'm quite sure she is the one who set this up. No longer caring about holding up this illusion of strength, I allow myself to cry freely as Catherine embraces me. Looking back upon that event at the auditorium a week later, I cannot help but smile. While I didn't become a megastar at school, and I still don't have a lot of friends, it still feels like a huge burden has been lifted off my shoulders. No longer do I have to worry about how people around me perceive me, as they can now see the real me, instead of some fabricated lie. When I walk down the hallway at school, people smile or nod at me. Everybody knows. After the auditorium event, another major thing happened. Catherine offered to let me stay at her place, as it might be good for me to be a bit more independent and to change sceneries once in a while. I felt overjoyed at this suggestion, though I worried about what my mother might think of this idea. To my relief, she felt perfectly fine with me moving to Catherine's place. I had told my mother about it before, and she agreed that it would be a great change of pace for me. Fortunately, I don't have a lot of possessions, so with the help of a few of Catherine's friends, I was moved within a day. I'm now living in her house, in the room which was supposed to become her daughter's room. In a sense, it feels like coming home. To me, and I think to Catherine as well. I hate to use cliché remarks, but in many ways, it's as though she got her daughter back, and I don't think that there are any words to describe how that must feel to her. The only thing in my life which isn't virtually perfect yet at this point is the whole medical thing. I'm still trying to find a hospital which is willing to help me. Apparently I'm the first person in this entire country to try to find recognition for an intersex condition like mine, and rather than to admit their ignorance, they seem to prefer to act importantly, while giving me the distinct impression that they would prefer to see me go away as quickly as possible. At least now I have an environment which cares infinitely more about me. I would describe my joy at having been given this opportunity as happiness, but I seem to choke up every time I try to express it. Thank you, everyone who cares about me, even if it's just a little bit. It was chapter 4 of In Between and Neither, the 2010 version. Definitely a lot going on in this chapter. Those who know the 2011 version, they probably recognize quite a lot in it. Because like the auditorium scene is something which did not really get changed that much. I guess you could say that in many ways that chapter 4 kind of stayed the same. Like this whole big revelation thing, that was something which happened for me as well, and kind of like that. For me, it was I think it was during a online chat session with an American girlfriend, and I'd been keeping everything secret, kind of like Alice up to that point. Just you don't tell about you being intersex, because why would you tell about being intersex? Because then you're weird, and that's not right. You just don't do that. Like there's nothing. I'd been telling a couple of friends, people I thought I could trust, but that was it. And then this one friend suddenly, while I was having some real emotional difficulties, was like, hey, we're going to indeed this one chat room where all of those people are who know you but don't know anything about your real story, and we're going to tell them about you, like everything, just a whole thing. Hey, and it was like, well, I was really hesitant. Yes, you can do that, but what might be the implications? Like, is it going to be positive? Is it going to be negative? Like, what is going to happen? You don't know. You have no idea what the implications might be. And because, I mean, how could you know? You've never been there. You've never been in that kind of situation. And suddenly this friend is like, hey, let's totally do this one thing that will forever change your life in some dramatic fashion. And before I really could settle on on the response and tell her, hey, bad idea, good idea, please don't do that, she went ahead and barged into the chat room. I was like, hey guys, Maya has to tell something, and it's totally like this, and it's intersex, and it's all everything like that, and he's having a hard time, but please be supportive. And looking back, it's like kind of like in this auditorium scene, it seems like such a really big step. This it's not really coming out. It's just, hey guys, you don't know this about me, but it's sort of like this, and I'm having emotional difficulties because this makes me feel like really not part of society. And if you just know about this, that would be really nice. And this one chat room, everybody was just, well, kind of like between, well, that's cool, to, hey, awesome, to, hey, if you can do anything, then we're here. And what did that really change effectively for me? Freedom. Not having to keep that secret. And that's really the point where I realized that the worst thing about keeping your own intersex condition secret like that, especially like Alice, like me, if you are a hermaphrodite, you live with it every day. It's always there somewhere in your mind, somewhere in your thoughts. It's always this one thing, because you cannot escape your body. It's always there in some way. You're always aware of it. You just go to the toilet and it's there. Do a pee, it's there. You go to bed, you get out of bed, you take a shower. It's there every single time. And if that reminder of you being intersex, it's kind of like you being reminded of being a regular woman or a regular man. You being reminded of being intersex in the same way. So when you look at it like that, then being able to just say, well, this is me, and this is what I am, and just like those people over there, those classmates of mine, they are girls, and those over there, they are guys, you know. Well, I am intersex, I'm hermaphrodite, and that's just as normal as you being a girl and you being a guy, and who cares? And that's really the attitude which I noticed when you actually start talking with people about it. I noticed then back in, must have been 2007, I think. Yeah, it's around that time. Just telling people like, hey, you thought that I was a girl, but I'm not. I'm actually intersex. I'm actually hermaphrodite. This means I'm basically like girl plus, like I've got some extra bits, and you won't notice it unless we start dating or something, so who the hell cares anyway? And it's nice. I mean, nobody would want to keep it secret that they are actually a girl. You know, like physically your body is a girl body or is a guy body, and you don't want to keep it a secret. And you don't want to have to keep secret that your body is intersex body, just a hermaphrodite body. Because why would it be any less normal, any more weird than just being a girl or a guy? So this is, I think, well, I mean, the way I've written it in this version, it's how would you say that? It's some ways I think it's written pretty well. But there are definitely some shortcuts in there. Like I should have expanded it more. I think that in the 2011 version I expanded it a bit more. At least I changed some parts of it. Have to see in the next video just how much I agree with that, and with the third and hopefully final rewrite that it will be perfect. It will never be, but you can try. And also noticeable in this chapter 4 is this in the first version is really when you get to the final section, is that you can see in the final the last 2 paragraphs, you can still see this bleeding through again, like if those like positive, auditorium, yay, acceptance, yay, I get some level of freedom and normality, just everything nice, and moving to Catherine's place, and like, yay, and this my life is going to be better now. But then last 2 paragraphs are this super depressing, like, yeah, well, it all doesn't really matter, and thank you for being nice to me, but I don't think it will be enough. You know, and that will kind of bleed through into the next chapter, as because that's I think that chapter 5 is really the main reason why I went back and changed it in 2011, and that's something which we'll be looking at well, 2 videos from now. Next video will be the 2011 rewrites of chapter 4. We'll see what that changes to this chapter, and then 2 videos covering the chapter 5 versions, original and rewrite. And yeah, it's gonna be interesting, I'm pretty sure. So that's it for today, for this video. I hope you enjoyed it, that you liked it somewhat. Please like the video, subscribe, become a patron if you aren't or haven't done so already. Really appreciate it. I spent a lot of time and effort on all these stories and these videos, so I really appreciate any kind of sign of support, I guess. As dramatic as it may sound. So thank you for listening, and see you all in the next video. Take care.